All ladies and gentlemen, welcome to my channel where I'm always pleased to welcome you with a positive attitude and energy, providing truthful information. Today I will talk to you about the most important news of the day regarding King Charles I's Day controversy has arisen. A heated discussion between Liui Hostra and Laura Lopez, daughter of Queen Camilla Parker Bowes. He has made it clear to her that while he can rule in his own home, he is the one who makes the decisions in the palace. He has explicitly stated to her that he is the one who decides on appointments and promotions within the monarchy. A firm decision in the midst of a serious dispute that I will inform you about later here on our news channel. I immediately invite you to like this video and share in the comment section your opinion on whether King Charles I is tired of Queen Camilla's actions in relation to power and whether the time has come to put an end to this. Have your say in the comments, because we've noticed that King Charles is increasingly reluctant to cede power to Queen Camilla or give her opportunities. In fact, we've noticed that he places more trust in Catherine Middleton and other members of the royal family than in his own wife. Apparently, the reason lies in the Queen's intention to include her family in the monarchy by hook or by crook. But King Charles has warned her that nothing will be achieved by force, so let's see what happened. What is this new step taken by King Charles I that puts Queen Camilla and her daughter in such an uncomfortable position? First, explain to us what he has done with Princess Beatrice and how this interferes so significantly with Queen Camilla's intentions. Park Rabos, let's hear it. Orlando, it's a pleasure to be in touch with you. Let's go straight to the main story published in the Mirror digital newspaper. CEO Princess Eugenie has been appointed as a mentor at the Kins Foundation, King Charles I Charity, as part of the 35 Before 35 initiative. The program brings together talented young people working in sustainable development, traditional crafts, and art to promote global change. Eugenie expressed her excitement at the opportunity to share her passion for art and be part of this cause, especially as she celebrates her 35th birthday, which coincides with the foundation's anniversary. The princess visited the Garrison Chapel in London, where she met with members of the network. In addition to Eugenie, other notable mentors include designer Samuel Ross, influencer Sophie KH, and historian Alice Lost. The short list of young people includes artists and craftspeople, including carpenter Illy Baster, embroiderer Angelica Ellis, and filmcologist Hari. Eugenie praised the selection of newcomers, highlighting their talent in areas that are a priority for the king. Her role at the foundation reinforces the royal family's commitment to nurturing new generations of creators and innovators. Orlando, we need your insight. What can we expect from this exciting development in the British royal family? Thank you very much. We'll get back to you. So we see that King Charles I is promoting his niece, Princess Beatrice, and sidelining, rejecting Laura Lopez, his stepdaughter, the daughter of the Queen Camilla Parker BS by her ex-husband Andrew Parker BS, a decisive decision with which the king makes it clear to the Queen, his daughter, and his entire family that he is the boss at the palace and that it is enough to fill Buckingham Palace with members of the Parker Bowles family. A move with which King Charles, after a heated discussion during which shouting was reportedly heard, made it clear to both the Queen and his daughter that the decision has been made. The promotion goes to Princess Beatrice. Other promotions and new roles are on the way in which the Queen's family will not be considered. The reason for the decision is said to be related to the fact that while the king was battling cancer at its worst, Tom Park Rabos, Camilla's son, wanted to act as Buckingham's representative, the royal palace. He wanted to and did speak out about King Charles' health, although such actions are not permitted or part of his role. In this regard, we see a clear possibility that King Charles will continue to close the door on Queen Camilla's family, or rather we see the possibility that he will kick them all out. Let me know in the comment section and stay tuned for what we will tell you here in our royal news. Thank you very much. Prince Harry's troubles continue to mount and no scandal is unfolding in Canada. Canadian authorities have reportedly launched a lawsuit against the Duke of Sussex in connection with the alleged disappearance of $15 million in public funds. This shocking discovery has sparked the wave of debate in both royal circles and the public, raising serious questions about Harry's financial activities and his increasingly controversial international ventures. Inside sources suggest that the funds in question were related to his past activities in Canada, possibly including security arrangements, charitable initiatives, or personal expenses while there. It's worth recalling that when Harry and Meghan unexpectedly stepped away from royal duties in 2020, they initially temporarily settled in Canada before relocating to the United States. During that time, Canadian taxpayers covered a significant portion of their security expenses, leading to widespread discontent in the country. With the emergence of this new lawsuit, many are wondering whether Harry's time in Canada had more serious financial consequences than previously thought. Legal analysts note that substantial evidence of financial mismanagement or irregularities is required for Canadian authorities to pursue such a lawsuit. The disappearance of $15 million is not simply a minor issue. It is a significant sum that requires a thorough legal investigation. Speculation is rife that this involves misuse of public funds, undisclosed financial dealings, or dubious charitable donations that never reach their intended recipients. Given Harry's penchant for secrecy, it's no surprise that authorities are now stepping in to extract explanations. This lawsuit comes at a particularly inopportune time for Essex. Their popularity is waning and trust in them is being questioned. So another financial scandal is something Harry could ill afford. Meghan is constantly under scrutiny when it comes to Archewell's financial transparency. And now that Harry is embroiled in legal trouble over millions that went missing, their image as a champion of social justice takes an additional hit. It's a stark reminder that no matter how hard Harry tries to distance himself from royal duties, accountability remains. While Harry's team has yet to issue an official statement, insiders claim the lawsuit is politically motivated and inflated by the media. However, if this were true, why would Canadian authorities take such a significant step without solid evidence? The mere fact that the lawsuit was filed suggests that officials suspect there is more to the situation than meets the eye. We are not witnessing yet another financial blunder in Harry's post-royal career unfolding before our eyes. The coming weeks will be crucial as more details emerge. If Harry is found liable for the missing funds, it can have serious consequences, not only financially, but also reputationally. His efforts to create a new identity distinct from the royal family are already marred by controversy, and this lawsuit further compounds his troubles. It is clear that, as this litigation unfolds, all eyes will be on him, and Harry may soon learn that distancing himself from the monarchy does not absolve him of responsibility. Here's an update on the health status of King Charles I, who suffered a health scare during a public event. King Charles I, visibly pale but composed, stood behind a lectern at the Royal College of Agriculture. He had arrived to discuss issues that had interested him for decades, such as climate change and soil conservation. The cameras were broadcasting live, drawing the audience's attention. 3 minutes into his speech, in which he spoke about the fragile balance between nature and humanity, his right hand began to tremble, his jaw went slack, and his eyes narrowed. Suddenly, King Charles collapsed, causing screams and confusion. The broadcast was abruptly cut off as royal staff tried to cut off the signal, but the moment was captured by numerous viewers on various devices. This public incident created a sense of fragility in the image of the monarchy. It was not just the stumble, but a real fall, unexpected and entirely public. Within minutes, palace staff were mobilized. Security cordoned off the area, and paramedics arrived on the scene. Prince William, who was at another event in BK-shire, promptly left and Camilla's motorcade was diverted. Kate Middleton's absence for nearly half an hour sparked speculation among royal correspondents. Outside the palace, people began to gather, and the interruption of BBC programming to report on the incident intensified global uncertainty about the king's future. Over the years, Charles has epitomized continuity. Being the longest-waiting heir in modern history, he ascended to the throne at a time of turmoil for the monarchy. While many expected a short and symbolic reign, no one anticipated such an abrupt start. Now there are reports of stress, pre-existing health issues in a royal apparatus on high alert, yet maintaining a semblance of strength. The press cannot ignore what it has seen, the fall of a monarch. And for the first time since Elizabeth Roman II's death, the British people are confronted with an unsettling reality. The crown still shines, but its weight seems to weigh heavily on the man who wears it. Those present still remember with unease the sound of the king's muffled voice. According to one witness, Charles spoke more quietly and slowly than usual, his face flushed. Some thought it was nervousness. Others attributed it to the heat. However, the sentence was left unfinished, as if he had stopped halfway. A senior palace aide described the fall, speaking on condition of anonymity, as sudden and unexpected with no prior warning. It was 3:02 p.m. local time, and the first to react were security officers, followed by the event's staff and medical team. Absolute chaos reigned in the room, replacing the ceremonial silence. Despite orders to turn off the cameras, the broadcast continued for about 20 seconds after the fall, allowing thousands of people across the United Kingdom to witness the incident. After the signal was cut off, speculation began about the cause of the collapse, ranging from a stroke to a simple faint. The tension was palpable, mixed with fear and denial. Paramedics arrived within 8 minutes, and according to initial reports, Charles had partially regained consciousness and was placed on a stretcher, muttering something about the Queen. However, the sentence no one wanted to hear had already been uttered by 2 palace staff. "We must activate the Men Bridge," the code name for the official protocol in the event of the king's death. The mere mention of this possibility sent shivers down the spine. A palace press spokesman described the situation as a race against time, as the king's collapse was public and visible. Charles was taken to hospital by ambulance at 3:30 p.m. escorted by unmarked police cars. The location of the hospital was not immediately disclosed, further fueling the rumors. What at 3:00 p.m.? The palace issued a statement saying that His Majesty had suffered a temporary health-related episode and had been taken to hospital as a precaution, that he was conscious in communicating with the medical staff. However, chaos reigned inside the palace as footage of the incident had already become available to the public. The monarchy's illusion of control and poise shattered in a matter of minutes. As King Charles was evacuated through the back door of the Royal Agricultural College, phones in the palace rang off the hook. At Buckingham Palace, the corridors were in chaos similar to that after Queen Elizabeth's death, but this time it was a real-time medical emergency witnessed by the entire world. Within 15 minutes of the collapse, the palace doors were closed. The royal flag continued to fly, but the atmosphere inside was thick with fear. Staff checked schedules, cancelled appointments, and made international calls. The royal protocol chief reportedly reprimanded an aide for not finding the latest version of the updated crisis guidance. Amid the chaos, 2 questions rang out particularly loudly. Where is Queen Camilla, and what will we tell William? Camilla, who had been scheduled to attend a private lunch, never arrived at her destination. Upon receiving the news, she asked to be taken to Clarence House to be briefed in private. However, by the time she arrived, Charles was already on his way to hospital. A source close to her inner circle described her as completely devastated, with her hands shaking. Another aide added that she even rebuked an employee for mentioning the live broadcast. Meanwhile, Prince William was whisked away from the economic summit in Berkshire and taken straight to Buckingham Palace, suggesting insiders were settling into his role in the coming hours. At 4:15 p.m., senior members of the royal family gathered for emergency meetings, including a secure video call with Princess Anne, Prince Edward, and senior aides. Princess Anne reportedly expressed anger at not being informed in advance about the king's health. Catherine, Princess of Wales, was left without communication for almost 30 minutes at Windsor Castle before cancelling her plans and leaving in a black car without commenting. A source said she was not panicking, but preparing. However, it was Queen Camilla's behavior that attracted the most attention inside the palace. A servant revealed that she was weeping uncontrollably in genuine grief. At one point, she was overheard asking an employee what would happen if the king did not recover. It was then that the whispering that had begun at the site of the collapse, Manet Bridge, was heard again. Although it was not the time to activate it, protocol, planning, and contingency documents had to be reviewed just in case. As one courtier put it, "The king has fallen and that changes everything." At 1700, London was unusually quiet. Shops remained open, but radio frequencies had dropped. In bars and homes, screens switched between muted sports broadcasts and somber BBC special reports. Across the country, the headlines were the same. King Charles collapses during speech. His condition is unknown. At Windsor Valor and outside the gates of Buckingham Palace, small groups of people began to gather. Chaos reigned online. Twitter now exploded seconds after the feed was cut with hashtags such as King Charles Buckingham, "The King is dead, Camilla and William" is next trending. The clip of the incident, though shaky and of poor quality, had already wrapped up more than 20 million views. The Crown's PR teams were trying to file copyright claims in real time, but it was an impossible task. A CNN commentator noted that the important thing was not just that the king had fallen, but that the world had seen it. Monarchs are not supposed to fall on camera, and the longer the official silence drags on, the darker the speculation becomes. At 6 p.m., the BBC suspended all its regular programs, and presenters in black suits began to appear on screen. According to an unconfirmed medical leak, King Charles had lost consciousness twice during emergency transport. Another tweet, since deleted, claimed that doctors had been concerned for weeks about a possible cardiac arrhythmia. In the meantime, world leaders began to respond, expressing their wishes for the king's recovery and their solidarity with the British people. However, the mood in the UK was rather subdued. The second statement from the palace, issued at 6:45 p.m., only intensified the tension. The official message was clear. This was just a temporary episode. There was no cause for alarm, but the people had seen too much. In just 12 hours, the UK was confronted with a truth that the monarchy has tried to hide for centuries. Mortality. The king collapsed, attention exploded, and the entire institution held its breath. Even if King Charles recovers, the image of his downfall has already been seared into the collective memory. Internal reports indicate that emergency action plans are being secretly updated. The regency arrangements have been revised, and the crisis management groups have been restructured. The term abdication has not been used publicly, but inside the palace no one dares rule anything out. As one BBC commentator put it, what happens now is not just about health. It is a question of trust in the crown, within the family, and what it means to move forward, even if the person who carries it falters. At 7:00 p.m., two black Rhine rovers pulled through the back door of Buckingham Palace. Royal watchers recognized them immediately. It was Prince William's vehicle, who entered the palace with a serious and determined expression on his face. Inside, everything had already changed. At 7:30 p.m., it was confirmed that William had called an emergency meeting, the first of its kind. Since the death of Queen Elizabeth Roman II, the aim was to prepare for the succession to the throne. An official explained that William was not just stepping in, He was stepping forward. She reportedly called not her father first, but Prime Minister Rissi Sana. Theories about the content of this conversation were rife, ranging from the possibility of a temporary authority to a preliminary report on Operation Men Bridge, while the country focused on the state of the king's health and William's rise to fame. Something more intimate and emotional was happening behind closed doors. Queen Camilla was reportedly devastated, breaking down in tears as she received a second medical report from the hospital. Meanwhile, Catherine, Princess of Wales, moved with calm determination, taking control of the situation. While Camilla broke down, Kate was briefing herself, demonstrating her readiness for this moment. Inside the palace, the contrast was stark. Camilla is emotional, Catherine is active. One official commented that Carine seemed like someone who had already come to terms with what was to come. As the king rested, the certainty that the next queen was already at work hung in the air. Not because she desired the crown before its time, but because someone had to hold it firmly until it passed from hand to hand. No,